All right, everybody, we'd like to welcome Neal Shipley to the interview room here at the 2025 Valspar Championship. Neal, you're playing on a sponsor exemption this week. It's your 11th start on the PGA Tour, but you're first here at the Valspar. I think you just got to play yesterday, first look at the course in a long time. What's your first impressions?
Yeah, I got to play this golf course my freshman year of college, which seems like a long time ago now. But we played in the fall and it's dormant, no overseed, and I mean the golf course plays a lot different with that overseed. The rough is really long, juicy this week, and there's a huge premium on hitting fairways. So that's gonna be really important in hitting greens because the greens are really small, and we got some probably 3.5, probably get up towards 4-inch rough in some places out there. So it's gonna be a great test, and really excited for the challenge.
You're playing predominantly on the Korn Ferry Tour this season. You've made 6 starts already, a couple of top 15 finishes. How would you assess your form so far this year?
Yeah, I feel like I'm just kind of getting ramped up. Kind of got to really slow start and missed a few cuts that I probably should have made. But overall, you know, if my poor stretch on the Korn Ferry Tour this year is going to be this start where I've missed, I think 4 of my first 6 cuts, but I've had a 15th and a 9th. Then that's good for a bad stretch. You know, that's going to keep us in it this season, and we're just working towards getting hot later this year, and hopefully that starts here this week.
Yeah, you said getting hot later this year and starting this week. What are your aspirations in the situation that you are? You're hoping maybe to probably get a few invites after the season that you had last year and gain some prominence.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think starting here, I mean, I just love to compete and compete to win. I want to try and do that. You know, when you think about it, it's an opportunity to play at Augusta, which is something that I really want to do again. Yeah, I mean, there's no better place than Augusta National in April. So.
Great. All right, we'll take some questions, and we'll start with Kevin. You have a microphone there? Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Hey, Neal, I was wondering, kind of 9 months or so into your pro career, is there anything that has surprised you or struck you about golf or how you feel as a pro and the things you have to work on as a pro compared to in college, or does it feel pretty much the same in terms of your process?
Yeah, I think as a professional, you have the added dynamic of being on the road for 4 or 5 weeks at a time. On the Korn Ferry Tour early, like big international travel, and then and with that, like you have to manage your body a lot better. You know, when you're playing in college, it's you go to a tournament for 4 days, you come back home, you're home for 2 weeks or a week and a half, and you have that time to reset. But out here, it's you're on the constant go, and managing your time Monday through Wednesday is so important.
Is there anyone on the Korn Ferry Tour, any veterans that you've picked their brain just about that process, or anyone in general on the Korn Ferry Tour that you've hung out with over those first 6 weeks?
I mean, there's a bunch of older guys. There's PGA Tour vet Adam Long. You know, we're both at the Dye Preserve down in Florida, and I've played a little bit together, and he's given me some good advice. I'm able to talk to him a bit. And just a lot of other guys have been on the Korn Ferry for a while. I mean, I think. You know, the Korn Ferry Tour is really cool, and with all the travel we do, and you can pretty much see the same guys every week. That it's kind of a fraternity there, and a lot of guys are happy to share a lot of information and a lot of insight. And everyone's looking to get out here and compete really hard against each other. But it's a cool kind of fraternity.
Michael, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Hey, Neal. Winning the team title here when you were at JMU as a freshman, what was that experience? I think you shot 68 on one of the final days there. What was that experience like? What do you remember about the course and just that experience in general?
Yeah, I remember my first round and second round are really good, and then the second, I think I shot 68, 79, 68, which is pretty much summed up my freshman year of college. I was the perfect 5-man, and the fact that I would. Have 2 low rounds and 1 round that was just going to be tossed. But I think that, having that experience, having 2 really good rounds out here is huge for me. I have a lot of great memories from this golf course, and that freshman year team to me was really, really special. It's unfortunate that COVID kind of cut that team short, but that was that freshman year was really, really cool for me, and it really helped in my development. And hopefully we can get another win out there this week. That'd be cool to do.
And then just speaking to your development, this time last year you hadn't had the experience in the Masters and the U.S. Open. How do you feel like you've grown as a player since this time last year?
I think prior to playing in those majors and playing in the PGA Tour events, I felt like I almost idolized guys out here and how they played. And I think being out here and playing with some great players, you just start to realize that they're, the key to playing great golf. There's no secret. There's no secret sauce to it. It's just about being really consistent and doing, and just being yourself and being, knowing what you do well and just playing to your strengths. Because everyone out here hits bad golf shots. I've seen a lot of bad golf shots from a lot of great players, and it's more about how you handle those, and also just being a really consistent player and doing Zach Johnson. I think is a great example. I've seen him played with him at the 3M. He knows his game really well, and he plays to his strengths. And it's a guy like that. It's he's been out here for a long time. He's had a great career. And he doesn't hit the ball that long, but I think a guy like that's just a good example of how you don't need to do anything special to have a great career on the PGA Tour.
With Full Swing Season 3, you're featured on that. What was that experience like, having cameras follow you around?
It was fun. It's chaotic. At the same time, we had a lot of moments there that on camera that probably were never going to be used because we had so much fun with it. We were laughing a lot. Me and some of the crew got to be pretty close. They spent a lot of time with me, and it's a cool little it's just a cool thing that I got to do as an amateur, and kind of represent amateur golf in this year's Full Swing. And I hope in the future that I get the opportunity to do it again, because I think it was really cool to share with everyone what being at the Masters is like as an amateur, and the emotions involved with moments like that.
When did you first get to watch the episode where you were featured, and what was your reactions?
So I didn't get to watch it until it was released to the public, and I watched it on the road while I was in Argentina, and it was really it was just kind of funny to see. And, I remember saying some of those things and lines, but some of the things I said, I'm like, I don't recall making that joke. And so it was still kind of fun to watch it back and hear all that. And it's cool too, because I got to kind of reminisce on some really cool times I had at Augusta.
Any notable feedback from friends, family, or I guess even random fans or people?
Yeah, I had some old friends reach out and make fun of me, which I appreciate. And there's been a lot of talk about Body by Waffle House and all that, and that's been that's been a big one. I had a friend of mine who makes ball markers out in Columbus, and he made me a Body by Waffle House ball marker, which will probably debut this week. It's pretty cool. It's been fun to kind of add in that little just have some fun jokes with friends and all that.
Just kind of along the, you have another? Here we go. I was going to say, kind of along that same theme, we've seen you on a TV ad for an equipment manufacturer that you represent, like a lot of other players. Can you just give us a little bit of behind the scenes, what that's like, filming that, how the duration, what sort of things you do in that period?
Yeah, I think commercial shoots, it's funny. It might be a 30-second slot, but you film literally all day just for, I was maybe on camera for 10 seconds of that and say 5 words. So it's pretty funny how that works. But yeah, you pretty much you get to the site at like 7 a.m. and you have a makeup person, and I gotta do my makeup, do my hair, and all that, and that's a whole process. And then you maybe come in to do a couple lines or do a couple things, and then they send you off to sit around and wait to get called back again to do another scene or another thing. And it's kind of it's a funny all-day process, but it was a really cool experience to see the work that goes into that and the creative process that those people go through for those commercial slots. It's gave me a bigger appreciation for everything that goes into that type of production.
If you were to give yourself marks out of 10 for that commercial, what would you rate, and what sort of feedback have you had from some of your maybe peers or friends?
Yeah, I get texts like every Sunday when that commercial goes off during a PGA Tour event. So that's been really cool and fun, and people are like, what are you doing on my TV? And I think that's funny. And I haven't really seen it a lot. I don't watch a lot of golf anymore. But from the commercial shoot, I'd probably give myself an 8 out of 10. There's a couple lines I struggled with a lot. I couldn't say like we need these in the bag for some reason. Like I just couldn't get that line out. I just fumbled over it over and over again, and it took us about 30 minutes to get that line going. And I think they had someone else say it for me too, because it was just not. I couldn't get that one going. I don't know why, but we did pretty good in a lot of others, and it's kind of actually funny. Like I have a really great appreciation for people who do movies and remember all those lines, because they would feed me like one or two sentences, and I for the life of me I couldn't remember them. It was a very props to the people on that production. They were very patient with me.
Haley, do you have another?
Unrelated to golf, Buckeyes didn't have the strongest season, but are you a March Madness follower? Will you fill out a bracket?
Oh yeah, I'll fill out a bracket. I got to check some of the analytics a little bit more to kind of come up with a pick. I'm not loving Duke right now, and I say that because I hope Adam Long watches this. I don't like his Dukies this year. I think they've had like 2 injuries recently, and so I'm not going to be probably going with them, even though they're a heavy favorite. But we'll see. I kind of loving the Big East, St. John's. I think they're a 2 seed. Love what they've done this year, turning around that program, a historic program. So I think they could be one of my favorites in my bracket.
Kevin?
Do you how did you end up at Dye Preserve?
I just had a couple connections out there, and I had the opportunity to join. And I mean, it's one of those golf courses down there that's in pristine condition, and you have maybe 15, 20 pros out there, so there's a lot of games. So that's big, being around a bunch of pros when you're home and having good competition with your friends is, I think, important.
In the that top 10 you had in Panama, I know you had conditional status starting the year on the Korn Ferry Tour. Were you giving yourself were you feeling any pressure just to make a cut and get in the shuffle?
Yeah. That's real. I mean, the reshuffle pressure, it's kind of tough. I finished in the 151 to 200 category from the PGA Tour. So if you have tour status, you finish 151 to 200 on the FedEx Cup points list. You end up getting Korn Ferry status, but you're only guaranteed the first 4. And then if you don't make a cut, you're kind of in trouble. We got the guys who didn't make a cut. They got Argentina and Chile, but they're not going to get Savannah. They're not going to get Bradenton. It was huge just making a cut and getting in there, and then also just having that top 10. I mean, that gets you enough points where you're probably good for the reshuffle, for the next 1 or 2, and then the top 15 on top of it. In Chile, I just kind of feel stress-free now. I can just go out and play golf, but I can tell you if I had to go to Bogota without making a cut before the first reshuffle, I mean, that would have been that's a really nervous tournament, because if you don't play well, then I'm back on PGA Tour Americas for a year, and that's not a lot of fun being down there.
And then you mentioned the Body by Waffle House. Do you remember who came up with that? Was it a teammate or?
So I have to give props to my host from the Dogwood Invitational. I think I went to Waffle House once or twice, and he's, Dogwood's down in Atlanta, a Waffle House on every street corner there, and, we were just making jokes about it, and he said, you need to get a T-shirt, Body by Waffle House, and, I've kind of used that, I've stole that line a couple times now, but, that was all time by him, and, big shout out to him.
What's his name, or is that you don't want to put him?
I don't want to put him out
Okay.
there. I don't know if he wants to be
What-
out on TV, but
Yeah.
he'll know it's him.
And do you have a go-to Waffle House order, or do you mix it up?
Yeah. So, well, it's changed. I've since Full Swing and filming at Augusta, I have since gotten a nutritionist, and we've cut out a lot of things in our diet. But the OG order was always an all-star special with the chocolate chip waffle. I'd go hash browns, scrambled eggs, usually sausage and white toast. And I would use the toast, eggs, and sausage. I'd cut the sausage in half, because you get two, and I'd kind of make the eggs and turn it into a little sandwich. So like a little breakfast sandwich, and then the chocolate chip waffle. That was definitely a big go-to. And I know Waffle House is it's a pretty popular spot out here. I know, I remember, I think it was Zach Blair when I was in Kentucky. I went to Waffle House maybe 2 or 3 mornings in Kentucky, and every morning I saw Zach Blair and his family out there, and his little boys who are so chaotic. But it's kind of a popular little spot out here. I think it's underrated.
You said your order now would be different, though?
Yeah, no, I'd probably just go with the 2-egg special now. I can't really do the waffle. I don't really do a lot of gluten anymore. So, which is unfortunate, because the waffle is probably the best part of it.
Last one from me before we let you go. We touched on March Madness. You have a master's degree in data analytics at The Ohio State University.
Mm-hmm.
How is that going to help you formulate your bracket, and also how does it help you in your performances on the golf course?
Yeah, I think with formulating the bracket, if I wanted to really get into it, I could break out an Excel spreadsheet and do a lot of different analysis. It's funny enough, in the data analytics program, there was a sports data class, and it was essentially like how to sports bet 101, like how to handicap teams. And so I have knowledge of how to do that on myself for these March Madness games, which would be pretty interesting. I don't have enough time to probably do that though, so I'll just kind of go off my gut feeling. But on the golf course, I mean, I have a guy that helps me out with going through a lot of the shot link data out here. It's one of the cool things about playing a PGA Tour event is you have all this shot link data, and you can use the last 4 or 5 years of data, and you have just a massive data set, and you can really see clearly, like, okay, on some holes out here, you have to hit it in certain spots. I think like number 5 is a great example. The par 5 out here, it's a really long hole, and there's that big right fairway bunker out there, and if you hit it into it, it's almost like a shot and a half penalty. It's like you're going to average over par on the hole on a par 5. So you got to lay up short of that bunker. You got to be able to hit it over it. So depending on the wind, your strategy changes. You might hit it 3 inches short of it. If you're kind of into the wind, if it's pumping downwind, you might hit driver over it. But it's kind of just like, it's a good example of, from all this data we have, I can say like that bunker is death, and I don't want to be in it, so we're taking it out of play.
Excellent. Well, appreciate your time, Neal, and have a good week this week.
Yeah, thank you guys.
You got it.